From the heart of Statesboro and straight down the Blue Mile, this is the Blue Mile Breakdown, your weekly dive into Georgia Southern football. Now here's your host, Brendan Sapp, Hail Southern and GATA.
Welcome in, everybody. This is the Blue Mile Breakdown, Episode 5, Season 1. I am your host, Brendan Sapp. Hey, we got a reason to celebrate today, guys. We have got a reason to celebrate. Georgia Southern put a crack in the rock last night with a win over App State. I'm happy about it. I'm excited about it. I am truly excited about it. You can't really tell it because it's still very early here on a Friday morning. But yeah, fantastic. It was like I watched two different games last night, honestly. Before I get into all of that, though, let's just take a moment and be grateful that we won a game. Feels weird to say that, but the way this season's been going, man, feels good to win. Feels even better when App State loses. And when you can accomplish both at the same time, you're on top of the world. But, yeah, moving closer back to 500 now, sitting at 4-5 on the season. Got to do it one game at a time, though. You can't get them all back at once. But, yeah. Sorry, take a sip of my coffee there. I got up this morning excited, ready to do this podcast. Took the dogs on a walk. Brisk, cool fall morning. I'm loving the weather right now. Got back from the walk. I took a Georgia Boy sausage link. I threw it over in the air fryer. Made me a cup of coffee. Ate my sausage dog. Collected my thoughts. Brushed my teeth. And came out here to make the podcast. So let's dive into some stats first before I get into my breakdown of the game and what I saw. We'll start with some individual stats. JC French, man, having a run. Really having a run these last three games. He was 25 for 37, 352 yards. It was a career high for him, and a touchdown. French also 12 carries for 18 yards and a touchdown on the ground. He literally accounted for both of our touchdowns. O.J. Arnold, 20 carries, 105 yards. He went over 105 right as the game ended as he got that last first down that let us get in the victory formation. How about Marcus Sanders Jr., man? How about Sanders having a career night, 6 receptions, 127 yards, including that 47-yard touchdown on the opening drive? Touching on that real quick. Right out of the gate, Georgia Southern elected to receive. You don't see that a lot, honestly. You really, it's usually best, and I can speak from a coaching standpoint, to defer to the second half because you never know what's going to go down in that first half. And getting that ball to start the second half, if you're trailing, it's like, all right, we get the ball. We can build momentum. Let's go. You may be trailing by a couple of scores, and you can sneak one in right before halftime and then start off with another, and you're right back in the game, which was the case with App State last night. But right off the bat, man, touchback, so we're starting at the 25, a couple short passes, and then right over the top, 47 yards. And I'm going to tell you, the best pass I think I've ever seen J.C. French throw, right in stride. Sanders just put his hands out, caught the ball, and drug a defender into the end zone. And 3 plays, 75 yards, and Georgia Southern's off and running. And then one of the dumbest moves I think I've seen this entire football season. We went for 2. Why? Why go for 2? I'm gonna circle back to this later in this episode, but you left a point on the field. But we're focusing on the good right now. Aiden Jackson had a good night, man. Big night. He had 9 tackles, 3 solo tackles. He was out there doing a lot of work, man, trying to contain Jaden Barnes, which we'll get to in a minute. Myers, Brendan Harrington, Tracy Hill, Jakari Brown, Holden Trice, Davian Rhodes, Brandon Tyson, MJ Stroud, all having big nights. Stroud led the way with 2 tackles for a loss. And how about Caleb Moore coming up when we really needed him with that big sack? Man, just good football. And you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? I have been praising Trip Bryant all year. And I think I saw one of the worst field goal attempts I've ever seen in my life last night. I know it was at the edge of his range. I don't know if the ball wasn't placed good or if he just missed it. But that ball got about 20 feet off the ground, and we were off to the right hash, so you needed to go up and left. That ball got about 20 feet off the ground, went straight down the field, and barely made it to the end zone. Seeing him kick all season and how good he's been kicking all season, I have to say he had to either just strike that one wrong with the foot or the hold was bad. Something there had to be more circumstances than he just made a god-awful kick. But he made the other 4. So without Trip Bryant, we're coming back from Boone, getting smoked out there. And he was perfect on extra points, which he only got to kick 1. Let's look at the team stats. If you watched this game, let me see if there's somewhere that breaks it down like I want it to break down. No, there's not. All right. The first half of this game, we come out of the gate firing, 3 plays, 75 yards, and a touchdown. Defense goes on the field. And I told my wife, we're sitting there getting ready to watch the game. And I told my wife, I said, DeBinion is going to run all over us. Sorry, that coffee's too good. Had to get another sip. But I told my wife, if our defense plays like they've played all year, DeBinion is going to have 500 rushing yards tonight. Leading rusher in the Sun Belt, the best running back we faced all season. And he wasn't even the leading rusher on the team. He was not even the leading rusher on the team. He had 12 carries and got 40 yards on 12 carries. 40 yards on 12 carries. I mean, our defense did the dang thing, man. And Jakari Lewis had 50 yards. As a team, App State had 77 rushing yards because the quarterback had like negative 35 or something. So we held App State, the best rushing offense in the Sun Belt, to 77 yards on the ground. We actually outrushed somebody this year. Now, pathetically, we only had 142, but at the same hand, that's really all we needed. And we almost doubled up App State's rushing yards. So big shout out to the rush defense and a big shout out to the first half defense, man. Big shout out to the first half defense. I did not recognize that defense. That looked like a Georgia Southern defense of old. I mean, we held them under 100 yards in the first half. And I'm gonna get to the second half in a minute, but let's look at some things here. Let's see, how do we do, guys? 6 penalties for 40 yards. I'm going back to my 3 points of winning. 6 penalties for 40 yards. That's a heck of a lot better than last week against Arkansas State. 0 turnovers. 0 turnovers. But here's where we're still lacking. 6 of 15 on third down. Again, 9 drives where we didn't capitalize to get that first down. Now, 4 times that turned into field goals for us. 1 time it turned into a missed field goal. So if you take those 5 scoring opportunities out, only 4 third downs that we didn't convert that could not have led to points. So better, maybe not overall, but in the grand scheme of things, better, a lot better. Time of possession, Georgia Southern held the ball 32 minutes and 20 seconds. App State, 27 minutes and 40 seconds. Now, before I move on to the second half of the game, our offense from 20-yard line to 20-yard line was phenomenal. J.C. French had a career-high 352 passing yards, as I've already mentioned. 20-yard line to 20-yard line, our offense looked unstoppable. In the red zone, we looked like we had never played ball before. I as someone who has coached football, as someone who played football growing up, but more so from a coaching standpoint, I'll go back to what Ert Russell said. Ert Russell once said, and I'm not quoting, this is loosely translated, paraphrasing, if you will. Ert Russell once said, "I will run the same play the entire game until you stop it." Why don't we do that? If you've got a 5-yard slant and the receiver's getting an extra 8 to 10 yards every time he touches the ball, yards after catch. Why do we run that from our 25-yard line where we start all the way down to the 18, and then we try to get cute and do fake reverses and handoffs up the middle? I mean, you just got carried down the field. Quarterback sweeps. Those are design plays. Those running plays where French takes the snap and ducks out behind the running backs who are lead blocking, those are designed plays, and they're terrible. They work like 2 out of 10, as we've seen all year, especially last night. I don't understand how you can be paid what you're paid at a D1 level college as an offensive coordinator who is supposed to be this passing guru of an offensive coordinator, and you just passed the ball and came from the 25 down to the 20, and now you want to try to run the ball. Throw that quick slant again, man. Throw it again. This is the time to throw the quick slant. I don't understand. Our red zone offense was atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. When we were up 19-3 at halftime, it literally should have been 42-3. We had that many scoring opportunities in the first half and only got 19 points. We were lucky to win that game last night. To pull it off, and I'm saying, look, I'm not taking anything away from the guys. They worked hard and they won the game. But with the offensive production inside the red zone, we were lucky to get away with a win. That's just facts. We've got to capitalize on those scoring opportunities. And it's easy to say that, I understand, but Georgia Southern is supposed to score once they're in the red zone. Not 3, 6. Preferably 7, not going for 2 when it's unnecessary. But at least the 6. And this game at halftime, it should have been over. You should have been able to say, all right, we can put some backups in and play the second half. That's how bad Georgia Southern was making App State look at halftime. Absolutely. Just demolished them, except on the scoreboard. Now we'll move on to the second half of the game. The announcer, who I know has never watched a Georgia Southern game, and obviously didn't do his homework this week, or he would have known, App State didn't get the pep talk that made them better in the second half. They didn't make any adjustments. They came out and ran the exact same offense they ran in the first half. We don't play in the second half of the game. We haven't all season. It goes back to Fresno State. 14-10 at halftime. Georgia Southern was in the game with Fresno State, dominating. Final score 42-14. Fresno State did make adjustments. App State did not. They came out and ran the exact same plays they ran in the first half. But for some reason, our defensive coordinator, who I, again, have said it all year, and I'll continue to say it until he's got a new job, looks absolutely clueless no matter who we're playing. They are running the same little underneath pass. And you got guys, you're giving DeBinion a 10-yard cushion when he comes out of the backfield. You don't have a linebacker on. Nobody's covering him. He's wide open. The cornerback's backed up past the first down markers. He's 10, 12 yards deep. DeBinion's making the catch, and the kid is fast. He's not, I said it last week, he's not only a threat on the ground, he's the threat when he catches the ball. He's a hands back, he's a fast back, and he's a power back. I mean, he is the total package. He is a great running back. And our line and linebackers did a great job shutting down the run. Safeties as well. Couple corner blitzes, but they did a great job shutting down the run. But when it came to the passing side of it, man, it wasn't good. Again, first half was fantastic, and the guys made some good plays. Aiden Jackson with that big interception that saved a touchdown, redeeming himself after just missing an easy interception, or at least a bat down on fourth down. Yeah, let's talk about those 2 fourth downs in the second half. 4th and 14, they convert. 4th and 16, they convert. I don't get it. I don't know. I don't know why you changed the scheme that's working. You just had the best half of defense you've had all season. We come back out in the second half. It's like, let's do something different, man. Why? App State's not doing anything different. Why are we? Anyway, I digress. Second half was terrible. We were up 19-3 at halftime. Ended up winning this game 25-23. We were outscored 20-6 in the second half. As I said, we held them under 100 yards in the first half of the game. They had 104 or 106 yards in the third quarter alone. They ended up with 425 yards. Again, we've allowed a team to put up over 400 yards of offense on us. 348 passing yards. And Barnes accounted for 160 of those by himself. It boggles the mind to watch a team go from sugar to, well, you know, because they took a break at halftime. And I am sure the defense was tired. So was App State's defense. So would any defense. Anybody's going to be tired after they went that hard in the first half. We got to find a way to go that hard for 4 quarters. If we can go that hard for 4 quarters, we win out. I don't care who we play in the bowl game. We win out, including the bowl game. If the defense could play like that for 4 quarters every week, we'd be unstoppable. There'd be no beating us. But it is what it is. Like I said, we got the win. We came out of Boone with a win somehow. And I go back to that going for 2 on the first touchdown. One of the dumbest moves I've seen all season by any coach in any game I've watched. Going for 2 when it's completely unnecessary. It almost cost us. And it didn't. I know almost only counts in hand grenades and horseshoes. Well, and cornhole nowadays, but to update the saying a little bit. But at 25-23, if App State gets in field goal range, we lost the game. We lose that game. You know, that extra point that we left on the field, at best, a field goal ties it, and we go to overtime, which I didn't want to do that either, but I'd rather go to overtime than just lose outright because you make a bonehead coaching decision to go for 2 when it's completely unnecessary. It just doesn't make sense to me. Does not make sense to me at all. But I guess that's why I'm not paid to coach the team. I don't know. I can guarantee you this. If I was coaching on the sidelines, the only time I'd go for 2 is when we needed to go for 2. I'll say it again. Let me back up and say it again. The only time I would go for 2 is when I needed to go for 2. There was no reason to go for 2 on that first drive. And it could have come back to bite us. It didn't. Again, we won. Thank God. We won. We cracked the rock. We've only done that 2 times since 2007. That was in 2019 and again last night. It is a hard place to win. Boone is a hard place to win. It's like Paulson. It's a hard place to win. There's so many similarities between App State and Georgia Southern when you look at history, when you look at home field advantage, when you look at prestige. There's so many similarities between the 2 schools. And, hey, we did it, man. We went 1. That's 3 out of the last 4. The all-time series. App State 21 wins, Georgia Southern 18. We're getting back to where we were when we left the FCS. Because in the FBS, they have dominated us. And it's good to see Georgia Southern getting those wins. over App State. You know, we beat both rivals this year. That's great. Beat Georgia State, beat App State. I will take that every year. I would love to take more than just beating our rivals, though. I digress. Going to bask in the win and, you know, get ready for Coastal next week. The Fancy Chickens. Well, you know, another must-win game. To me, every game the rest of the season is a must-win. Finish 7-5. Win a bowl game. Finish 8-5. Everything's not forgiven. But that seat cools off just a little bit. That seat that Hilton's sitting in cools off just a little bit if we win out and win a bowl game. Especially get a bowl win. We haven't gotten a bowl win under Hilton. Been to 3 straight bowls. That's awesome. Got a chance to go to 4 straight bowl games. First time in school history. Awesome. Let's win it. First thing we got to do is get to 500. Then we got to get to 6 wins. Then we'll talk about bowl games. We'll talk about bowl games later. Guys, right now I'm going to take a short pause to bring you a message from our sponsor, Gamer Advantage. To check out all the awesome products, go to gameradvantage.com. Don't forget to use the promo code BrendanSapp157 to save a few dollars. Here's a commercial.
Hi, Brendan Sapp here, better known in the streaming community as Brendan Sapp157. I'm here today to talk to you about Gamer Advantage glasses. Before I discovered Gamer Advantage eyewear, gaming was taking a toll on my eyes. Long hours staring at a screen left me with constant eye fatigue, dry eyes, and restless nights. I was tired, frustrated, and frankly, losing my edge. But then I found Gamer Advantage. These glasses aren't just any gaming glasses, they're a game changer. With their state-of-the-art blue light technology, Gamer Advantage glasses filter out all the harmful blue light that's been keeping you up at night. No more eye strain, no more dry eyes, just clear vision and a great night's sleep. Now, I wake up refreshed, ready to take on any challenge, whether it's IRL or in the game. If you care about your eyes, whether you're a gamer, programmer, or anyone who spends time in front of a screen, I highly recommend Gamer Advantage eyewear. Protect your eyes, perform at your best. Gamer Advantage. See the game, save your eyes.
Shifting gears now, let's look ahead. Let's look to next week. We have got Coastal Carolina at Paulson Stadium, 6 p.m. kickoff. Yeah, this is another game when you look at it on paper. You guys know how I feel about paper. But when you look at it on paper, this is a very winnable game for Georgia Southern. ESPN, for the first time this year, well, I don't count the main game. That's FCS. For the first time this year against an FBS opponent, ESPN is showing Georgia Southern with a 63% win probability. The first time we've been favored in an FBS game this year. And when you look at the stats, let's get a stat sheet. All right, French is sitting at 2,029 passing yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Coastal Carolina's quarterback Hudson, 56 of 103, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. My goodness. Their leading rusher only has 398 yards. O.J. Arnold with 617 leading the way for Georgia Southern. Carolina's leading receiver has 197 yards. We saw 2 receivers almost get that in one game last night. Camden Brown, of course, leading the way for Georgia Southern with a record 9 receiving touchdowns and 739 receiving yards on the season. We got a head-to-head we can look at with App State. They did beat App State 2 weekends ago. They beat App State 45-37. Of course, we did not have that same outcome, to be honest. Even if we allowed 20 points in the second half, that game should have been a 50-20 game. Like I said, we blew App State out everywhere except on the scoreboard. That first half, we had so many opportunities to score. I know I keep harping on it, and I said I was moving on to Coastal Carolina, but it just aggravates me so bad at how horrible our red zone offense was last night. I mean, you had a chance to make App State look stupid on national TV. And I'm glad we finally got the win on national TV this year because we've looked stupid on national TV several times this year. So, again, I'm glad we got the win. I'm excited that we got the win. It should have been a blowout. So, when I look at the App State game where Coastal Carolina won 45-37, and I know we should have won that game 48 or 52-23. again, I say it, this is a very winnable game for Georgia Southern, and we've got them at home where we have played exceptionally well this season. So, and historically. So, it's great. It's a great opportunity for Georgia Southern to get back to 500 and get one game closer to bowl eligibility. 7-4 all time against Coastal Carolina. Looking to make it 3 in a row over Coastal, which would be awesome. That would be fantastic to see. So we haven't won 3 in a row over Coastal Carolina since we were FCS, 2006, 7, and 10, having 3 September wins over Coastal Carolina back in the FCS days when we beat everybody. So really, that's not a lot to compare there. They do play Georgia State this week, tomorrow on Saturday, and honestly, they look more like Georgia State this year than they look like a competitor for Georgia Southern. So that game Saturday should be interesting. It should tell us a lot about what we can expect next week. Good news. There are 2 teams lower than us in the Sun Belt East, and they're App State and Georgia State. Isn't that great? That is great. Southern Miss seemingly running away with the West. James Madison, like I said, already has the East wrapped up. Nobody's gonna pass it, James Madison. They are your Sun Belt champs for this year. I called it a couple weeks ago. Maybe a little too early to call, but pretty sure I'm right. Right now, I'm going to take a quick break to tell you about G Fuel Energy. Take it away.
Fuel your grind, power your play, and stay locked in with G Fuel Energy. When the game gets intense, hydration is everything. That's why I choose G Fuel. 0 sugar, 0 caffeine, packed with electrolytes, antioxidants, and vitamins. Whether I'm streaming, grinding rank, or just powering through my day, G Fuel keeps me focused and fueled. G Fuel, G Hydration, stay fueled, stay unstoppable. Go to gfuel.com and use my promo code BrendanSapp157 at checkout.
So not a whole lot to go on there for Coastal Carolina, just kind of a little preview. Stats-wise, again, on paper, Georgia Southern dominates in every aspect of the game over Coastal Carolina. Not a good rushing attack, definitely not a good passing attack. Their quarterback actually only had 37 passing yards against UL Monroe 3 weeks ago. So maybe the pass isn't something we have to worry about as bad this week. I don't know, because Swan is not a good quarterback. He is not a good passing quarterback, and he put up 348 yards on us last night. You couldn't tell it by watching him in the second half against Georgia Southern, but throughout the season he has struggled really bad and is not a very good passing quarterback. I'm extremely proud of Georgia Southern's run defense and the way they played against App State, holding Dominion to under 50 yards. 40 yards to be exact, is a feat in and of itself. As again, I'll say, hands down the best running back we will face this year, barring a bowl game with a phenomenal back. And Georgia Southern's run defense needs to do what they did in the first half of that game last night. The whole defense needs to do what they did in the first half of that game last night. And the offense needs to do what they did on that first drive last night. Because red zone ain't working for us. Like I said, not gonna harp too hard on Trip Bryant. Seeing this kid kick, I know he just stroked the ball wrong, or it was a bad hold. So we'll forgive that field goal and move on. My prediction for this upcoming game, which is 8 days away, same as it always is. Don't get stupid penalties. Don't turn the ball over, and let's get some third down efficiency going. That's what it's going to take. You know what I mean? If we control those 3 aspects of our game, we can win out. And to be honest with you, it depends on which Georgia Southern team shows up next Saturday. If we got the first half App State Georgia Southern defense showing up the rest of the season for 4 quarters each game, nobody's stopping us. As long as the offense can find a way to get into the end zone once they hit the red zone, if we can make that happen, we're unstoppable. But we got to play 4 quarters. We got to play complete games. Georgia Southern historically is a second half team. Not so much this year. We're a collapsing second half team. So got to get it together. Got to find a way. We got to get back to 500. And Coastal Carolina is the most important game because it is the next one. So we will worry about it on next Saturday. Till then, I am Brendan Sapp. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was episode 5 of the Blue Mile Breakdown. I will see you guys next time. GATA and Hell Southern.
This has been the Blue Mile Breakdown, brought to you in part by Gamer Advantage Eyewear and G Fuel Energy. Make sure to tune in next time as we dive deep into Georgia Southern football.
Wave the blue and the white, hold the banner high, and don't forget to GATA.